Hello, welcome in. Welcome here to Can Angels Fly Tarot. I'm Nancy. And this evening I just want to talk about the astrological energy that will be in play around August 22nd, 2018. Well, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Turning up. That's all right. The astrological energy for this current week really aligns with an old fairy tale. Let's see if you can guess. Mirror, mirror. I forgot. But mirror, mirror, on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? Hi, how are you? Welcome in. Everybody wish Tia a happy birthday. Happy 19th birthday. Oh, thank you. Look at you, y'all. So kind. This evening, I will just be talking about the astrological energy for the week, and it does correspond with a fairy tale, Snow White. Yes, yes, fairy tales do come true. But I must be perfectly honest that it is necessary at this point in time in our experience to cut off the end of that fairy tale. You know, the happily ever after. Hello, Linda, how are you? You know, cut off the happily ever after. I'm not saying that happily ever after can't take place. However, Saturn calls us to be mature and to really see what the future holds. And so we're going to kind of cover some of the energies. Before I begin, I like to give a brief summary of the fairy tale Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. You may remember it. Remember, Snow White was a princess, and her mom died right after she gave birth. Shortly after, the father remarried. You know, the wicked stepmother. Okay. Now, this wicked stepmother, the queen, was highly vain, very vain. Hello, Red Moon, Linda, Tia. What's that, Elu? How are you all this evening? Stepmother was very, very vain. She was preoccupied and fixated with her own beauty and wealth, and, you know, as long as she was the best. And the story goes that the stepmother, the queen, often was consulted by her viewing mirror. She would ask the mirror, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And for many years, the mirror always replied the same reply over and over again, saying, you, queen, are the fairest of them all. But as Snow White got older, you know, into her teens, and everything started percolating, one day that queen went to her mirror and asked the same question. Said, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And the mirror responded, well, actually, it's Snow White. And although, queen, you are absolutely fair, Snow White is at least 1,000 times fairer than you are. Interesting, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting. So, the queen put a hit out on Snow White, but the henchman couldn't do it. So the henchman left her out in the forest. Snow White roamed the forest, if you recall, until she came upon a little shed or hut in the woods that belonged to what? Seven dwarfs. Now, the story goes that Snow White ended up moving in with those seven dwarfs, and we know them as, y'all, my notes all over the place. I've been in a different mental space, so I'm trying to get it together. Let's talk about these seven dwarfs because they're relevant to the current astrological energy. The seven dwarfs were Sneezy, Grumpy, Bashful, Dopey, Sleepy, Happy, and Doc. They welcomed her into their little home. Now, I'm going to stop here before I go on and talk about the current astrological energies, paralleling it to the popular fairy tale story, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I want to stop and talk about something that I've brought up over and over again in various videos and live streams about how we are dealing with a lot of stuff at the same time. And so during this video, I just kind of want to highlight and spotlight some of the things that we are going through so that you'll have that information before I go into the astrological interpretation. And what I'm sharing right now are the various layers of our reality. These are areas of focus that we are dealing with. These areas of focus that we are dealing with from day to day are overlapping and relative to everything I've ever spoken about and will continue to speak about, as well as this particular live stream. So, what are the various layers of our reality? Keep this in mind always, that there are imposed deceptions. Who's imposing it? The world imposes deceptions upon us. Another area of focus is our self-imposed deceptions. These particular areas are relevant to what we're going through. Hopefully I can make it make sense in the course of this live stream. Another area of focus is physicality and spirituality. When I talk about spirituality, I'm talking about the soul. We seem to forget about the soul within and how it attaches us to divinity. When I talk about physicality and spirituality, I'm also talking about the demands and obligations of each. I'll try to make it make sense somewhere along the way during this live stream. Another area of focus we should always keep in mind as we're learning is that everything that we're learning has to do with us personally as well as globally. Another side note I like to offer you, just so that you can have this information, which is relative to our experience, is that we are in a particular season. In the last live stream, I talked about being in a season in your life and obtaining certain assets. I was talking about it on an individual basis. Right now, I'm talking about global or life experience season, Adasha. And it is Venus, Saturn, Venus, Dasha. What does that mean? Venus is about what? Beauty and harmony, having peace of God dang mind, just being satisfied and vibing well. What does Saturn represent? Restrictions, limits, boundaries to getting to that peace of mind, that stability, that balance, that harmony, that state of bliss until you mature, until you grow up. Once you grow up and you accept what you must do in order to have balance, then you are able to accomplish the last Venus, get that balance. So, and that would suggest that you have to reorganize your life. So, what am I saying before I move on, talking about this Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs relative to our experiences? Yes, fairy tales do come true. However, Saturn, as I talked about, requires us to be mature, to really look at the facts. And so we're going to look at the current astrological energies and the facts we are asked to look at in order to find out what our end of the story will be. I'm going to stop because I don't have any order. I'm just trying to get some things out because I've been procrastinating. So, where do I go? I told you the story. A summary of the story of, I don't think I finished the summary of the story of Sleeping Beauty. So, Sleeping Beauty lives with these seven dwarfs. The witch goes back to her mirror after she thinks, not the witch, the queen goes back to her mirror and asks the same question once again. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And once again, The mirror responds and says, Snow White is the fairest of them all. Of course, the queen was absolutely livid because she thought Snow White was dead. But in actuality, the henchman could not kill her, released Snow White into the wilderness, into the woods. She found her way to the little shack or the house of the seven dwarfs, and they invited her in to live with them, where she lived safely. The queen devised the plan to do what? Destroy Snow White. Why? Because the queen felt like she was the only one that could be beautiful, that could be wealthy, etc., etc. She was a narcissist. Yes. Anyway, the queen goes and she executes various plans to destroy Snow White. If you recall the story, finally, she gets the upper hand on Snow White by offering her a beautiful apple to partake in that contains some type of sleeping poison. The poison puts Snow White to sleep. It doesn't kill her, it puts her to sleep. Of course, Snow White's Prince Charming comes right along, and I'll say this, Prince Charming is us getting married to Saturn, the one that says mature, grow up in order to get your balance. So, Prince Charming, or whoever he is, come along, kiss Snow White, and they live reasonably ever after. So, why is this story relevant to the current astrological energies? Well, I told you the story. Let me see what I got. And how can I put this together without an outline? Just a bunch of notes. Y'all just ride with me if you will. Now, let's talk about Snow White's parents, the king and queen, the original king and queen. They are, or represent, the original state or singularity. Divinity coming together, coming together, creating man, creating Snow White, creating me and you possibly. Okay, and so it gives us a life. These are the gods that give us lives. Hello, CC, how are you? I'm talking about the current astrological energy, and I'm comparing it to a popular fairy tale called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. So, remember, Snow White's mom, the original queen, she dies after giving birth. And the king remarries the, what do they call it, the stepmom? And the stepmom is a narcissist. She's highly vain. And when Snow White grows up, Snow White is much more beautiful than her. Snow White is a threat. So, what does the second queen represent? The second queen represents the new paradigm that we are entering. See, the queen represented the old paradigm, the old way of doing things, bringing beings into existence and setting up the original rules for a paradise, the fairy tale. But the second queen, the second wife, the stepmom, represents the new paradigm. And not only that, she also represents the antagonist. You know, them kind of folks that push your buttons, the narcissists. So who's Snow White then? Well, Snow White can be me, you, or any individual in humanity, but ultimately she is the protagonist. She's attempting to defend herself against the queen, her stepmother. And another thing that is relevant or aligned with Snow White, if you pay attention to the name Snow White, is white as snow, is that she lives. You know how she was always singing with the birds and chirping and, all that, smiling and the sun shining on her. Well, that was a artistic depiction or animated depiction of her living through virtues. And so today we're going to talk about virtues and Snow White as a representative of living in virtues, even in times of trouble. Now, this is going to be a little messy because I didn't write out a layout. But when I was reading the astrological stars, doing well, I'm doing very good, CC. But when I was reading the astrological stars, why, I don't know, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, well, Snow White came, to mind. And I was like, wow, that's interesting. When I was reading the astrological energy, all I kept seeing was this mirror and looking into the mirror. And then from the mirror, it went to Snow White. And then, I got on YouTube and I started Googling Snow White and remembered the 7 dwarfs. And so I just continued to research and do my astrological interpretation. So this particular fairy tale is an excellent example of the astrological energies we will be facing in the upcoming weeks, beginning this week. And what is the story about Snow White and the 7 dwarfs really about? It's about ethics. It's about ethics. If you follow me, you may be aware that I talk about these various layers of our reality. Being what? We have imposed deceptions. We have self-imposed deceptions or self-created deceptions. We are dealing with physicality, this physical world and all that it consists of, including ourselves and the human condition, as well as simultaneously dealing with the soul, spirituality. Both of them have demands and obligations. Most of the time, we meet the physical obligations, but not the soul obligations. And that is what astrology is about, is showing us not only our physical journey, but also our soul journey. Showing how our physical journey is a way for us to deal with spiritual issues. If you follow me, I also do interpretations that deal with us personally as well as globally. Because whether we realize it or not, we are one. Okay. Remember earlier I talked about we currently, when I say we, I'm talking about humanity, are in the season or the dasha of Venus, Saturn, Venus. Yes. You want happiness. Yes, you want balance. You want peace. You want love. You want all those good things that make life worth living. However, it comes with great work. And discipline, order, structure, etc., etc. You must mature in order to gain the balance or the happiness that you need. But first, you have to come to accept some things, just as Snow White had to accept some things. What are the things that Snow White had to accept? That her mom died, that her father remarried, and that she had a horrible, stepmother. Yeah. She also ended up having to deal with the fact that she was much more fair than her stepmother. And it caused a lot of strife. So, let's see. I told the story about Snow White, talking about virtues and ethics. I talked about cutting the end off that says happily ever after. It can be a happily ever after. But first, Saturn tells us we must be mature and look at the actual facts that are surrounding our personal fairy tale, our life stories, in order to find out what our end will be, the end of our story will be. I've written here, just reiterating what I said, to embrace the call of Saturn to mature and see the possible real end to this story. Your story, our story, my story. And also the beginning of the saga. Because we know wherever there's an ending, there is also a beginning. So let's see what else I can go. Oh, my dog is really getting on my nerves. I'm just going to really quick run through the astrological interpretations, not taking any really aspects into consideration. I don't want to take too long on this live stream. So the question is, just like Snow White met with adversity, the only thing she did was be cute. She was naturally cute. And she met with adversity. She met with the antagonist, her mother, her stepmother. So, let's say, hypothetically, you are Snow White, whether male or female, gender, doesn't matter. But you embody the virtues of Snow White. what are the virtues? I guess we need to talk about the virtues. 7 virtues, or the 7 heavenly virtues are chastity, which is purity or abstinence. Temperance, which is humanity or charity, will, benevolence, generosity, and sacrifice. Or diligence, which is persistence, effort. Or patience, which is forgiving and mercy. Or kindness, satisfaction and compassion. Or humility, bravery, modesty, and reverence. Those are the 7 virtues. Now, don't you find it interesting that there are 7 virtues and there are also 7 dwarfs? Okay, let me stop there, because I want to go back and talk about ethics a little bit more relative to the old narcissistic stepmother. Based on the story, she didn't display any of those 7 virtues or heavenly virtues, no. She displayed the total opposites, which are the 7 deadly sins: lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. The stepmother displayed lust. She displayed wrath. She displayed envy and pride. I just find it interesting that there are also 7 deadly sins, as there are 7 dwarfs. Just so interesting to me. I know I'm moving fast, y'all. Kind of out of order, but okay. Before I move forward, I want to talk about a few more virtues. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. If you just let me get all the information out, I know that y'all intelligent enough to put the story together and parallel it to your life so you can get some answers, so you can understand what's taking place and why. So, during my research, I found that it's not just the 7 virtues. There are also 4 classical virtues, and they are prudence, justice, fortitude, and once again, temperance. And then I kept on looking. And wisdom. We can't leave wisdom out. And why do I feel the need to exhaust my vital life force energy and share those other cardinal virtues? It is because we're dealing with so many layers. So many layers. We are dealing with our personal layer as well as the global layer. And so I felt like the global layer pushed me to have to share those other 4 classical virtues, such as justice and wisdom. I mean, we can all use them. So I don't want to get y'all confused. I know I'm running through here. What am I talking about right now? If I can get you to focus. I know I'm all over the place, y'all. Don't mind me, no. I'm talking about Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs. I'm talking about Snow White as the protagonist, defending herself against her stepmother, who was or is the antagonist, narcissistic, self-centered, conceited, to the point of wrath and envy. She was full of pride, those 7 deadly sins. And why was, let me throw this in here, why was Snow White considered so much fairer, at least 1,000 times fairer than her stepmother? It was because Snow White lived through the virtues, the 7 heavenly virtues of charity, temperance, chastity, diligence, patience, kindness, humility. How about this? Prudence, justice, fortitude, and wisdom. So that made her Snow White. 1,000 times more fairer than her stepmom. Why is this important? Now this is where, why is it important? Let's see. Okay, I don't want to look back over. I did all of that, trying to move quick, did that. I'm going somewhere with this, y'all. Just ride the wave with me if you will, if you ain't got nothing else to do. So, guess I'll put, how do I move forward? So we have Snow White, we have her stepmother, and we have this mirror on the wall. Who are you? If you were to look in the mirror and recite the same spell or state the same petition demanding to know who the fairest is, what answer would you personally receive? Another way I can ask, who are you, is merely ask, are you the antagonist, the stepmom, or are you the protagonist? Snow White, who are you? Why is this important? Well, it's important relative to the astrological energy of this week and beyond. Because I guess at this point in time, it's important for me to read the astrological energies. I can't get past it. So I'm just going to run through them, y'all. Let's see. The first one is, Now, we did talk about the 7 virtues and the 7 deadly sins or 7 capital sins. We did talk about that. Who are you? You know, are you the antagonist or the protagonist? Are you Snow White or are you her stepmother or whatever the case is? And I ask that because, remember the story of Snow White? Her stepmom ostracized her, cast her out. Well, tried to kill her, but she get cast out into the woods and taken in by these 7 dwarfs we'll talk about in a moment. So, how did the stepmother handle her challenge, her opponent, the threat, which was Snow White? How did she handle it? Well, she handled it through the 7 deadly sins, 7 capital sins. Well, the same question is posed now. How did Snow White handle this experience of being, having a hit on her, being cast out and ostracized by her stepmom? Even though Snow White was going through adversity and challenges, she still was able to maintain her virtue. So, going into the unfolding astrological energies for the upcoming week and beyond, the question is, how are you handling the following? Oh, I see what I did. How are you handling the following? You personally. I don't want to go through all that. Okay. Let's see if I can do it. You personally, how are you handling not having what or who you want? How are you handling it? Or not being where you want to be at this point in time in life? I pose that question based on the sequence of astrological events that have been unfolding for us, which have said, hey, you are coming to know yourself through your association with another. Whether you have you find yourself comfortable in life or you don't, you find yourself failing in life or succeeding, you are coming to know. And so it really takes you to follow me, to kind of follow along with this. But the first question is, how are you handling not having what you want or who you want, or not being where you want to be at this point in time in life? Now, again, you could look in the mirror and relate with Snow White. You move through virtues. It's like a point. How are you handling this as a Snow White? Or You could be the stepmom, the one who moves forward and addresses issues and concerns through the 7 capital sins or 7 deadly sins. How are you personally dealing with not being where you want to be, or being with whom you want to be, or being what you want to be? How are you dealing with this? I might as well say now, why is it important? Why is this important? It is because we are moving into a new paradigm. The new paradigm will be defined by the quality of the people, the majority, character, state of the souls of the people will dictate the atmosphere of our upcoming life experiences. So I go back. How are you dealing with you're not getting what you desire? How are you dealing with that? Why is this important? Because it is a testament to your character. If you are moving forward under being virtuous, or if you are moving forth under under the capital sins. You know, it's important to understand who you are and what you are contributing to the to our unfolding realities. So let's see. How are you dealing with looking around and not seeing what you feel really would reflect who or what you believe yourself to be or worthy of? You know, when you look out at your environment and the people around you, and you don't see what represents you or who you think you are, you don't see it, you know, reflecting back at you. This is also an aspect of the mirror on the wall. Many of us are looking outside of ourselves and not seeing that which reflects us and our desires and our fabulous self-expression. How are you dealing with it? Hello, how are you? Let's see. How are you dealing with the presence of others that seem to be just holding space? Them other folks are just holding space, but are not helping you achieve your goals or desires. How are you handling this? Now, why am I bringing up these particular areas of concern about if or why or how you are handling it? It is because what? The astrological energy is talking about it. I'm just trying to cut out the middleman, making a mess. But if you just ride with me, I'm attempting to go somewhere with this. So the astrological energy suggests these are major concerns for most people. How are you handling these issues? I just talked about the presence of others that just seem to be holding space. They're not helping you achieve your goals or desires. Or how are you handling the knowledge about what has been an obstacle to your success and comfortability in life? Am I saying that clearly? You are becoming aware of what have been hurdles and obstacles in your life. You can look at it and identify and understand how it played in your life and has it kept you from reaching your goals or ambitions. How are you dealing with that realization? Or how are you dealing with the presence of the threats? Like Snow White's stepmom was threatened by her. How are you dealing with the presence of the threat or malevolent people in your life? This threat can be, as stated, envy or jealousy, biasness, racism. How are you dealing with these threats and these malevolent people? Or how are you dealing with coming to see that you are not, this is just for some special folks, like the stepmother, you are not as important as you thought you were? You know, that sense of entitlement, that sense of being more important or better or I guess, sense of entitlement than another. How are you dealing with that? Another thing, okay, I think I need to move forward. Oh, I make stuff up. Okay, that's it. I guess that's it. Okay, one more. How are you dealing with I'm laughing because the last one is like, even if you are a person that can go down this list and say, yeah, I'm dealing with this one way or another. I'm dealing with one way or another. That these mother suckers around me is just filling up space, but they not helping me. Or the understanding that you're not where you want to be at this point in time in your life, or you're not with whom you want to be with, or how your goals may not be met, or understanding what exists in your life now that you understand has been an obstacle or is an obstacle to you moving forward and advancing and achievement. All of these things. The final thing was, you still got the urge to move forward on your passion and desire, no matter what your answer is. So, how are you dealing with all of this? Especially the urge or the desire that you still possess to move forward on your goal or your aim or your ambition. Now, what was the ambition of Snow White? Let me try to pull this together. What was the ambition of Snow White? She just wanted to live life free and happily ever after. The stepmom, she wanted to be queen, literally. She wanted to be the most beautiful. She wanted to be the wealthiest, etc., etc. And so they each, is what I'm pointing out, they each had a goal, an aim, or a desire. And they went after their personal goals, aims, and desires in their own individualistic manner. As I said, when I was reading the astrological, as I shared, when I was reading the astrological alignment for this upcoming week and beyond, a mirror kept coming. I kept seeing a mirror. And then from the mirror, I saw Snow White. And then upon research, came up with the 7 dwarfs. And so why is this important? Why is the mirror so important? It is because the current astrological energy, as well as that in the past, has continued to ask us on an individual level as well as a global level to look at ourselves, to take a look, to see if we want to continue to move forward and on those particular aims or goals, passions or desires. It's also in the past asked us to look at the people that we interact with and we are engaging with. The stars have informed us that it depends on who we interact with if we will be successful or not. So, once again, the mirror comes back and says, take a look at yourself and see if you can basically live with who you are. And if you can deal with what you will contribute to the lives of others, which you will bring into your own personal life, because you are who you've become, you've allowed yourself to become, and because you have chosen to be or live a certain way, deal with things a certain way, either through the 7 virtues or the 7, whatever they call it, something sins, capital sins, you will have some residual effects. Now, I got to go here and talk about it before I forget, because it's all out of order. Remember early on I said we got to cut off the end, the happily ever after part. It's not that happily ever after cannot take place, because it can. But Saturn requires for us to take a conscious, mature look at what is taking place before us. And what Saturn astrologically seems to be saying take a look at is that we are creating a new paradigm, a new world. And there are particular rules or ways of living associated with the new paradigm. And it's pretty obvious, when we turn on the news or go out the door or hear some gossip, that most people are not Snow White. There is a lack of chastity, a lack of temperance, a lack of charity, a lack of diligence, a lack of patience, a lack of kindness, a lack of humility. There's a lack of prudence. There is a lack of justice. There is a lack of fortitude and of wisdom. Much of that has slowly dissolved or deteriorated from one previous paradigm to the next. And as we move into this new paradigm, the new rules associated with the way of living or doing seems to be actually governed by the 7 capital sins that are lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. Saturn says, are you sure that you want to go where you are headed? Are you sure? Because remember, although that might be basically the ending of your story, to say this is how I'm handling things, wherever there's an end, there's a new beginning. The saga will continue. And the saga will continue with the majority of people in humanity being what? Lustful, gluttonous, greedy, slothful, wrathful, envious, and prideful. I'm going to stop. Excuse me. I'm going to stop. I need to move back and talk a little bit about Snow White. Because we have a choice, free will. We can perpetuate the energy, I'll say, of the stepmom. Yeah, the narcissistic individual. Or we can train ourselves to live life virtuously. It's our choice. And whatever we choose to do, understand there is karma, residual effects that are directly related to our choice. And we also have to be aware, Saturn is asking us to look at all this. Hello. Is that the majority rules? Where are we going collectively? And what are you doing to contribute to where we're going? So, it is my hope that we'll move forward virtuously. And so I want to talk about the significance of Snow White. The name really letting us know Snow White is pure snow. It talks about moving forth in life with virtue, even through life challenges. It's bad, y'all, when you try to kind of skip stuff. So I'm trying to fill it in. Why is this important? Well, if you follow me, you may have picked up that it is possible that by, I think, 2020, I don't know, I don't have my other notes, that it can get pretty rough here in this physical world. Y'all, I'm fine. And how, yeah, we wishing Tia happy birthday. Yes, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Everybody wish Tia happy birthday, if you will. That by 2020, I do believe it might get a little rough up in here. That ain't about 2 years. I think it's 2020. I don't know. Y'all have to go back and watch the videos. I can't keep everything up here. Very little room. So, getting rough up in here. Moving into a new paradigm that seems to be more or less defined by the 7 capital sins. But we have a choice. We can create heaven, or we can create hell. Let's create heaven. So, Snow White, moving through life virtuous, even during the challenge that may be truly presented by 2020. What does it mean? Now, pay attention. Snow White is an example of a person that faces unwarranted adversity. She is attacked. Her life is threatened. Her well-being is threatened. Her safety is threatened. This is another one. Which one is it? Is Uranus in Taurus. Her lifestyle, because she's a princess, was threatened. Nevertheless, she moves out into the woods. Now, the woods are directly parallel to the wilderness. Just like in the Bible, if you're religious, the wilderness. Who was that? Moses and all the Hebrews or whoever it was went into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights, whatever it is. The wilderness. So Snow White moves into the wilderness. She's going into adversity. And when she goes into the wilderness, the way she's capable of surviving, I'm talking to anybody that want to live virtuously and wants to play the role of Snow White, whether male or female, gender is irrelevant right now, is that she was capable of surviving successfully, reasonably. First, by what? Downsizing. Yes. There were 7 dwarfs that took her in. Downsizing. She had to downsize. She was a princess who lived in a castle and had everything that a person could ever want. She downsized. She went into the wilderness rather than being amongst the strife, rather than being threatened, into the wilderness, into the hardship, into the challenge. She downsized the dwarfs. Are an example of downsizing. Now, I need to talk about the 7 dwarfs because they're significant and they are really symbolic of what we are asked to do beginning this week and beyond. Number 1 is understand that we collectively may be moving in the next few years into the wilderness. Many of us will be forced to downsize. The 7 dwarfs and their significance. First and foremost, hey Dodge, you say good correlation with Snow White and the astrological energies. I'm trying. If I could have wrote better notes, it probably went better, but I'm stop. I'm gonna stop, y'all. I love y'all. I thank you all for dropping by. The 7 dwarfs. Now, do you recall the occupation of the 7 dwarfs? They were miners. They mined. And we know that anybody that mines is doing what? Digging for hidden treasures of this world. So I'm going to kind of cut to the chase so I don't forget. The 7 dwarfs are merely components of Snow White, of any person that chooses to live virtuously. And you can continue to live virtuously even during challenging times and in moments in the wilderness if you're willing, number 1, to downsize. If you're willing to do what the 7 dwarfs did as a career, to mine for what? Hidden treasures, hidden talents, hidden abilities. I gotta go back over here before I go on and finish talking about these 7 dwarfs. I gotta go back over here and point back to the various areas of focus where I was talking about the different layers we are dealing with relative to our reality, all these things that are overlapping that leads a lot of the interpretation of astrological energy and tarot to be difficult to interpret because there's so many layers. We, most of us anyway, are guilty of only being able to see parts of the physical layers that we want to see, like love, money, career, etc., etc. When we know physicality offers so much more, including this physical body and being in the human condition or susceptible to the human condition because we're in this human body. And then it also has to do with our souls and the state of our souls being influenced and impacted by our physical experiences. Right now, what am I saying? I'm saying it seems to be scheduled that we who, many of us in humanity, will be moving into the wilderness just like Snow White in just a few short years. And because we may be being moved into the wilderness and our physical bodies being susceptible to whatever we may experience while in that wilderness will directly affect the state of our soul. Another complication that many teachers face is that we're talking about you personally as well as our global experience. We are talking about mass deception as well as individualized deception. So, I gotta go back over here and I want to talk about these little 7 doors. How are the 7 doors and their names or characters significant to our experience in the wilderness? It is because as long as we are in physicality, as long as we are in a physical body, a vessel, we are susceptible to the human condition. The 7 doors. 1. Sneezy. Sneezy, yes. What does sneezy have to do with our current and upcoming experiences? Think about it. You are moved out of your comfortable space in this world. You are facing a challenge. You are attempting to move forward virtuously in a world that seems to be predominantly ruled by the 7 capital sins of lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, pride. Those will be the antagonists that you have to deal with. Okay, you're in the woods. Sneezy represents different things like allergies and colds. It is a representation of physical weakness while going through the wilderness. See, pay attention. This is what Snow White dealt with. This is what helped, or what Snow White went through, or what she had to help her as she moved through her time period in the wilderness. What is that saying? She went through fevers and sickness while going through challenges in the wilderness and dealing with the antagonists that were greedy, slothful, and wrathful, and envious of her. The next dwarf was grumpy. Yes, Snow White. Any person that decides to live virtuously, you still are susceptible to the human condition and will continue to have these experiences. Don't fool yourself, as what Saturn instructs us to do in order to get as much peace and balance that is offered by Venus. Grumpy. We know what grumpy is. Yes, Snow White was irritable and testy and had a bad temper at times. However, her core and how she handled everything and did her business was using the spirits of the 7 virtues that are what? Charity, temperance, chastity, diligence, patience, kindness, humility. Then it's the other 4 cardinal virtues, which is prudence, justice, fortitude, and once again, temperance. And of course, last but not least, we can't leave out wisdom. So, let's go on. Walking through the wilderness. Bashfulness. Even if a person chooses to continue to move through life virtuously during challenging times, they're still susceptible to the human condition. For some, bashfulness can be an issue. What is bashfulness? Reluctant to draw attention to oneself. just wanting to keep your head down, don't want nothing else to jump up and bite you, don't want no hardship. Yes, bashfulness is something else that Snow White dealt with in her time of trouble, while still moving forward virtuously. We have a choice. We can be the protagonist, we can be positive, we can be righteous, we can be virtuous, or we can be the antagonist. We can be narcissistic, self-centered, self-focused, and self-serving. We are moving into a new paradigm. Who will be the majority? So, the next, what do they call him, dwarf, is Dopey. Now, y'all know what Dopey mean. You know, hey, Richie. Yeah, how you doing? Dopey, yes. Even Snow White was getting high every once in a while. Yes, she was taking a toke. As she moved through the wilderness and through the challenges, she's still being virtuous. She still, was under the influence of some form of narcotic and or alcohol. Yeah, she was sipping some wine. We're going to keep it light. She was sipping some wine and, hitting that in some trees. She was in the trees. She was in the forest, y'all. You get it? Trees, forest. Don't mind me now. She was picking them herbs. So, let's go on to the next door, which was Sleepy. Yes, Sleepy. As Snow White, a person that continues to move forward virtuously, even in a time of challenge, dealt with sleepiness. Yes, that is another effect one is susceptible to because they are under the human condition, left susceptible to the human condition. And what is sleepiness? We know what sleepiness is. The need for rest. One can suffer exhaustion from doing what? Defending themselves against the antagonist and trying to consciously move forward virtuously. Yeah. And we know how that is. You can just get drained sometime. You ever been out handling your business and by the time you get home, wore out, just exhausted. The next, what do you call it? Dwarf is happy. Need I say more? Happy. Yeah. That's also a part of the human condition. It is also a state, an emotional state one can reach as they move through life challenges and attempt to continue to move through virtuously. You can, at times, experience happiness even while in the wilderness. And happiness, in short, is a sense of emotional satisfaction. And last but not least, Doc. Dwarf Doc. Doc. What can we say about Doc? Well, Doc is deep because Doc seems to embody quite a few different attributes or characteristics. And I think he was the head guy, literally, this dog, literally in the fairy tale. Doc. Doc, D-O-C, can represent or be symbolic or short for, I'll say, or abbreviation, I don't know, for Doc, D-O-C-K, which is the anchor oneself. Why do you need to anchor oneself? Well, that goes back to that virtue, one of the seven virtues, which is temperance. It's about anchoring yourself in the storm. That's what Doc is. Doc can also be short or abbreviated for doctor. Yes. When in the storm, you may need to be able to know how to literally treat yourself and your wounds, not only physically, but also spiritually. Yes. Doc is a bad mother sucker. And one more that seems to really have to do with nowadays is documentation. As you go through the storm or the challenge of life, moving through virtuously, having to fend off the antagonist, guess what? You're going to have excellent records. Documentation. Keeping good records is also key. Now, what was I talking about in all of that? In short, I'm just going to summarize it. I am talking about the unfolding astrological energy of this week and beyond. And how it really paralleled with the fairy tale, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. As I was interpreting the astrological energies, all I kept seeing was a smear. And it says, take a look at yourself. Who are you? Nancy, who are you? Are you an antagonist or are you a protagonist? Do you move forward and handle the circumstances of situations, primarily not being where you want to be in life, not being who you want to be in life, not being with whom you want to be in life, looking around and seeing these people that are just feeling way? How are you handling this? Are you what? An antagonist or protagonist? Are you living virtuously as you deal with these concerns that you have? Or are you, Nancy, dealing with these issues through the capital sins? Nancy, tell yourself, who are you? Because the astrological energies really seem to be pointing to a future, a new paradigm that may have some challenging times. It may be times that emerge that really threaten my life, our life, the quality of our lives. We may be cast into the wilderness. It's important to understand who you are so that you can stand, anchor yourself, dock in those convictions. And understand that sometimes you have to kind of detach from physicality. Remember, we are so engrossed and so immersed and so in love, we romanticize with physicality. But we forget our very souls lay in the balance. And so the astrological energy says, come to understand who you are and why you do what you do and what is required of you to continue to walk, if you choose, virtuously in life, even through the challenge. And understand that because you, Nancy, are in the physical body, you are susceptible to, what do they call it? You know what I'm saying? To all the, limitations brought forth. I believe that not. I believe that not. That's okay. Which y'all don't. Oh, hey, Elder, how are you? Adler, good night. Are you reading tarot? I will in just a moment. If you have a question, you can compose it. And I'm going to pull the cards down. I hope they're behind me, because I sure enough didn't get done. So, anywho, I was just talking about how, in closing, I just want to talk about how we are in a season. It seems that the astrological energies have been showing that divine has been attempting to get us to address some major issues that exist in this physical realm during this particular time in the history of humanity. And right now we're in a particular season, and the season shows that we desire balance. We want balance. We want harmony. We want to be with whom we want to be. We want to be who we want to be. We want to have comfortable lives, etc., etc. However, in order to obtain that on a personal level as well as a global level, we must mature. We must set a set of rules up that permits that to happen, not only for the individual but for the collective. And if we're capable of doing that, we will find a balance. But this is not the last season, last dasha, this period. There are more to come. And so it depends on what we do, if we will find that balance or not. If we will enter into a new paradigm that is defined by heavenly virtues and having balance, it's totally up to us. Or we can continue to move down, or in a way that it seems like we are, in which most of what we do is dictated by, the 7 capital sins, into a new paradigm that will be governed by that way of handling circumstances and situations and people, especially when it has to do with another's quality of life. You say, oh, okay, all right, yeah. Hi, Ann. Can you read cards about artistic feel? Can I read a card? Can you read cards about artistic feel? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. Are like you're a painter or artist? Do you have some type of question like selling paintings or something like that? I do. I'm not going looking for nothing. I don't know what I did with them. It's somewhere. Use these here. So, all right, this is your opportunity. I thank you for coming here to Can Angels Fly Tarot and having this discussion with me about the current unfolding astrological energies. And at this time, I'll be accepting any burning questions you may have, and I will answer them with one tarot card. Can I ask, says, can I ask yes or no questions? I'll see. I've never done it like that, but we can always try. Y'all go ahead and make y'all moves. Okay, well, okay. I sell clothes, but I also have a job. I would like to know if it will be successful or not. Okay, Anne. Let's see. Hi, my name is Bellion, and I am a Taurus. I want to know if I will be chosen this year in the UWC exams. It suits me to participate. Oh. And what is this here? Oh wow, this shows really great success. But it's this is for Anne, and this is the Three of Pentacles. So it talks about being a part of the appropriate small social circle or social connection, fitting in and be able to be proficient at your particular part of the job. So it does. Now, when you say you sell clothes, this is the catch-22. You have to be aware that you are in the correct group, in the correct surrounds. Like saying, it's not just about you being successful. Like you have to be in a successful location with equally skilled people, or a person that has a building in the right place. So it's about the team being effective in order for you to be successful. So not until you can verify that all components associated with you selling clothes are efficient should you quit your job. You know, you keep that, but it does show a level of like beginning success. This is only the Three of Pentacles. It's a lot of different ranks to have to climb up, but initially it shows, you know, a positive outcome. So good luck. Just be wise in your choices. Okay, the UWC exams. Okay, here's the Three of Pentacles. It is sad to say, I'm sad to report, but again, this is entertainment purposes only, is that this is the Three of Wands. It's in reverse, pointing back to the Two of Wands. It talks about one making a choice about what aims or ambitions They have. You have the desire to move forward and join the UWC exams. However, this Three of Wands that shows being a part of that group and moving forward is not happening. However, don't give up. Do what you need to do in order to be a part of that, because it sounds excellent, whatever it may be. Kind of got an idea, but not sure. But it shows it not coming in. But again, this is a form of entertainment. Don't you give up. You keep moving and you keep pursuing. If you can't get it this time, you make sure you go after it next time, and good luck. Now, I'm an Aquarius Sun. Okay, an Aquarius Sun, Leo Moon. Me too. George, you a Gemini in 1970. Okay. Oh, wow. Good luck, and thank you so much. You're welcome. I'm transgender, male to female. Oh, okay. You busy. Okay, you busy. Yep, you busy. Well, you must be very attractive and alluring. You have the sun here, George. And so the sun talks about being very enthusiastic, energetic. It talks about your ego. So what do you want me to say with the sun card? It really seems like you are in a really good ego disposition. You know, you're driven and you're magnetizing to you. You are attractive. With the child, it seems you have a youthful spirit or energy, Gemini, youthful spirit and energy. So that's really, really cool. There. Are there any other questions before I move to... I think I did that. Okay. Any other questions? You want a card, Dodge? Of course, you know you can always have a card about any particular thing, or you just want a card. Hi, Patsy. How are you? Yeah, long time no see. You know, I've been just kind of brooding, going through, trying to get it together, waiting to see. See, I deal with issues. I kind of get lost when I'm not linked up, I'll say, with universe and divinity. Ooh, I get so lost and I get irritated. And I know that I'm supposed to be able to make it without, you know, source energy all the time, but it really throws me off. Thank you very much for the positive reinforcement. You're absolutely welcome, George. Okay. Just a card about this work I want to do. Well, what do you have here? We have the Chariot card. And the Chariot card talks about you having some inner conflict. You're not feeling confident about it. So what am I saying relative to this work that you say you want to do? Why are you lacking confidence or feeling like things are going to be out of control? You want a job, you got to be confident about it, Dodge. It's like you really have to satisfy something in yourself. You have to, give yourself a pep talk about whatever this work is in order to, embody and radiate this level of confidence and ability that you may be able to do. Or is it quite the opposite, that you feel like you don't have what it takes? You know, it's like come to terms with whatever it is relative to this job so that you can go ahead and move forward. Okay, who is this here? Victoria says, your message totally resonates with me. I'm at a crossroads right now, and I want to know if moving back home is the best place for me at this time. Victoria, the Three of Swords in reverse. Is it right to move? I'm not too sure about it. The Three of Swords suggests it's like, hey, certain people that maybe you don't want to be around, and you're realizing that they're not good for you. You know, so I'm not saying it's the place that's not good for you. It's the people or the associations. It suggests with the Three of Swords, love triangulations or some type of intellectual interjection or objection or something that leads to you having emotional instability possibly. And it's just kind of saying that maybe you need to rethink the groups or the people that you're hanging with or what you're learning, because they're making a negative impact or influence upon you. So it's not necessarily that you excuse me, have to move home. You know, you just kind of got to move away from particular people or ways of associating with others. In the you have Pluto in the second. There's Victoria, I'm a Libra. 9, 26, 8 of 3. That's going into Libra. Yeah, I'm a Libra. You said you're a Libra. Yeah, sometimes we need some time to heal. Definitely. I waited so long. I've tried praying it away, promiscuity with women, and trying to fight it away in the ring. And I finally came to terms with it this year. All right, there you go. Having a breakthrough or had a breakthrough. Congratulations, George. I mean, rather than hurt people that you know you didn't have the capacity to love, you know, that's a big move. And so I'm going to tell you, from women, we really appreciate that. We really appreciate that. Hi, love, and life feels stagnant. Hoping for an Aquarius return. Could you do a general reading? How you doing? Is this Lise? I guess that's an L. Hi, Deja. How are you? You're welcome, Dodge. Hoping for an Aquarius return. Let's see. What do you have? Well, all right. You're hoping for an Aquarius return. However, you got the Ten of Wands in reverse, pointing back to the Nine of Wands. It's about your active beliefs about what you desire or you want. However, it's saying you have a desire. Yes, you have a passion. You have an urge. We talked about this urge earlier. You got to rewind this video and hear me go around the block of the scenic route, talking about the current astrological energies. Because this talks about your desire, your urge. However, it's like you are aware, if your Aquarius was to return, that it has a lot of responsibilities and duties associated with that connection or that passion or that desire that you have for this other. So it's like you being your own worst enemy in some way, because it's this realization. It's like you just want to like kind of control the situation. How might you be controlling it? When they come back, you satisfied. You got your way. But the truth of the matter is, you are aware that they may be annoying or irritating. They're not helping fulfill any additional passions. It becomes burdensome. You know, and so it goes back and says, hey, think about it. Think about it seriously. Oh, you got to go back, because I was talking about how Saturn is demanding us to mature and really look at the facts that are surrounding circumstances and situations in order to gain balance and harmony and peace in one's life. And this Ten of Wands in reverse seems like you're going to throw harmony and peace out of the window due to a passionate urge. But you can do as you desire to do. You met last year. I get you, George. It's fresh, it's new. Any message for you, Patsy? You know I got a message for you. Okay, okay. All right, Patsy. Oh, who are you fighting or defending yourself from? We've been talking about in this live stream the antagonist and the protagonist. It seems like you may be in the defense mode. If it is not you, Patsy, that's in defense mode, some way one may be in defense against you. And what are you battling about? It is about an aim. What is your aim? It varies from theirs. What is your passion? It varies from theirs, etc., etc. Now, this is the Seven of Wands, so it talks about an active partnership that you are in and the exchange you are having with another. It seems like you are going through some renegotiations with someone, and it's not going too well. And so it can cause or lead to some instabilities emotionally as well as energetically. To safeguard yourself, Patsy, as you go through this contract negotiation with this other person or these people or whatever the case may be. And understand, again, it's deferring desires or passions or energies, and it is imperative that you find a middle ground or prepare to release whatever this is before it absolutely frustrates you. You deserve better. Does that sound like something you got going on, Patsy? That was a bit deep. Deshaun, I'm good at work taking a mini break. Oh, okay, you break it with me. Thank you for dropping by. Can you need a picture of that sun card? The sun card? Just go online, Google it, George. Google tarot sun card. That's all. Print it out, put it in a frame, and put all the good words around it. Positive affirmations for you. Okay. All these business ventures I'm doing are falling, thank God, falling into place. Everything feels different this time financially than it's ever felt for me. That is a wonderful testimony. I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. You're great. We'll go back and listen. All right. Very good. Leave the comments below. All right. And you said, well, thank you for the reading. You are amazing. Greetings from Argentina. All right. Thank you for dropping by all the way from Argentina, and we love you. And just as come on, people, she's doing tarot readings for free. Hit the like button for her. I would greatly appreciate that. And that, I'm telling y'all, that's really frustrating. It's all free. It's all free. Can I get a like? I would just like, look, I asked y'all last live stream, I said, can you like me? Can you like me with a thumb up? Give me some love, y'all. And Pat says, yes, I'm just letting go someone from my previous relationship. Yeah. And you were kind of trying to hash it out. Hopefully you can, make it work. I feel you. The astrological energies are quite interesting because I feel like we are not just compelled, we are impelled. Like, do we really have a choice at all? Because I don't think so. Because if we had a choice, we would be with some every Dick and Jane, and we'd really be enjoying ourselves. We'd be happy. We'd probably be rotting and going to hell, but we'd be happy on our way. Now we're just unhappy. We want what we want. We enjoy what we enjoy. But life has bigger plans, bigger plans than we do. So everyone is asking about love, and I'm over here like, that's me too. I'm like, okay. Like, whenever it comes across my mind, I'm like, okay, okay. I had a life full of love when I was young. So I'm going to be appreciative. I'm going to try to be appreciative. They say it's better to have been loved. It's better to have been. It's better to have been loved and lost it, than to never been loved at all. That's me. You happy with the general message? Yeah. Okay. All right. Happy to It's happy to have been loved and lost, than never to be loved at all. Yeah. But then you just don't know just how horrifying and horrific it is to lose it. Who made that crap up? DJ. Well, Three of Pentacles has come back out. It's in reverse, pointing back to the Two of Pentacles. And it's interesting because you just shared how everything's like moving along. But it had the Two of Pentacles talking about making a choice about what you want to manifest. You did share that you have a few pans in the fire, and it's saying making a choice about exactly what you want to manifest. And it's like you're almost scared to focus on one thing, so it seems like when you made that comment, you're kind of shocked that you are able to do so much juggling, and the juggling is doing very well, so all it is saying is that you're choosing to or refusing to choose a specific goal in order to move forward on it. Now, this is the other thing. A lot of what you're doing, do you have any other people helping you? Because it almost seems like you might not have people helping you, and that you're afraid to add people to it because they might mess it up. Deja vu. Okay, deja. You know, they might mess it up. This is how I can interpret this Three of Pentacles in reverse. I don't want to add nobody else. I got it going on. You know, is what it seems like. However, it doesn't show any truly negative energy, but it does suggest that a time may come that you may, high time, become kind of overworked, because this is early stage card. And so this is only a 3. We got it all the way up to the at least the 10 of Pentacles before going into the Court cards. So it can show that the workload increases, the demand increases, that you may have to add, you know, co-workers, or what do you call it, you know, people to help you meet whatever demands to get your goal fulfilled. And so maybe you should start doing, if you haven't already started, or do more of it, of interviewing potential, you know, people for particular areas that you foresee a little, okay, that you foresee is going to get heavy at some time. You realize if you get to a certain level that you won't be able to handle it. You should be able to foresee that, well, whatever you're doing. At some point in level, even though you got a lot of pans in your fire, each pan has a level where you probably can't carry all the weight, especially if they all escalate to a certain level. And so you may need somebody to handle this pan or that pan. And so it's like saying you have to interview it, because you don't have like a staff or a backup, you know, if things really just start to flow. You know, what are you into, if I may ask? I love when you're alive. Oh, thank you, Tanya. Thank you. And I appreciate you dropping by while I'm live. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay, very good. I'm happy that it makes sense. Well, I'm happy I got to hang out with you ladies and gentlemen this evening. It's about 1:39 in the morning, so I guess I'll go into some meditation once again, because I personally am seeking some answers. I know I got the answers. I'm just complaining because I don't want to do what I already know I'm supposed to do. See, that's just hard-headedness. Oh, so much love to you. Until next time, y'all. Bye. Oh, yeah. And if you're interested in ever ordering your own personal tarot reading, all you got to do is contact me on my email. Let me see. My email is canangelsfly1@gmail.com. Until next time, y'all. Bye. As soon as I can figure out how to get off this mother sucker.